kind of begin to find our mountain pose, I'm going to ask you to give the knees a little bounce, a little wiggle, especially if you were seated. Shoulders a little shake, a little twist. Kicking out whatever you need to kick out, because we are going to come and find our mountain pose. And today, if it's helpful to you to go a little bit closer, maybe 3 fingers between the feet, if it feels more steady for you and more stable and strong to go wider, you're welcome to. And there may be a few of you that actually bring big toes together and have a little space between the heels. So what suits you today? Finding that space where you feel solidly connected. And give those knees just a little bit of bounce. And as you rise back up, making sure we don't lock out those knees if possible. We're just take shoulders up and down a couple of times to the ears. And then let shoulders melt back down. Palms can face thighs. Palms can open up. Just take that nice deep inhale. Maybe we imagine we draw that inhale from the bottom up. And as we exhale, we let that exhale settle from the top down. A few more of those settling breaths. A deep inhale. And a longer exhale. One more time. Nice deep inhale. And a longer exhale. And then if it's possible, we're breathing in and out through the nose today. If not, in and out through the mouth. And just noticing for yourself how this feels here in the initial mountain pose. If there's any sensation that might be calling to you, noticing perhaps very methodically from the bottom to the top, stopping in some spaces just to notice if sensation is present. It's okay if it's not. We're not trying to create anything or make anything happen. We're just inviting ourselves to be with what is. Noticing sensation with curiosity. And then taking a moment here to bring awareness to the soles of your feet. We're going to ground today with the physical body, and this noticing of the bottom up is one of the ways that we ground. And this is a great skill to use anytime we're out in the world and we need a sense of grounding. So take a moment to notice the soles of your feet and really the details, noticing if the toe tips are touching, noticing the weight of the balls of the feet from the inside, that medial edge out to the outside, that lateral edge. And take a moment to notice the weight in your heels, the entire circle or oval of the heel that is touching. And becoming aware of whether or not the weight in the balls of the feet and the heels is even. And could a tiny shift change that sensation? Noticing the arch of your foot, that raised curve arch, even though it may not be touching the floor, it's still supporting the body. Awareness of those shins and knees. Knees softened, still supportive, but not locked out. Noticing the thighs and the hip joints. Maybe take a moment to appreciate the strength of your legs. Those strong legs holding you upright, supporting the entire torso, arms, and head. Bringing awareness to the front and the back of the torso as we imagine our spine from the tailbone all the way up to the back of our head. Our spine, really that front side from the pubic symphysis, traveling up through belly, heart space, and front of the neck. As we inhale, maybe we grow a little bit longer and taller with the inhale. As we exhale, we allow ourselves to settle again into the weight of the torso and the strong legs supporting us. Noticing the arms, heavy. Heaviness starting in the shoulders, through the upper arm, elbows, forearm, and palms. And then thinking here about the head and the neck resting on this long, strong body, resting with ease, letting shoulders melt just a little further away from the ears with your next exhale. And becoming aware of your entire body, standing long, tall, strong, solidly connected to the floor, to the earth. And then pausing here to notice what might be present for you in the physical body, maybe in the thinking mind, maybe even in the emotional body. What is present for you in this moment? With your next inhale, if you close your eyes, just gently fluttering those eyes open, blinking in the light. For all of us, we're going to release this pose, sending our feet just a little bit wider, toes turning out. I'm going to ask you just to shift in ways that make sense. And this is sometimes a little bit tricky because for those of us adults who maybe have tuned out a little bit of the body, we don't quite know how we want to move. Great thing about being here on screen, I can't see you currently. No one else can. So it's just a nice time to move however you would like to move to loosen up that body just a little bit. Maybe we're twisting, you can get those arms involved. It's a bit like our marauding bear if it was standing on his back hind legs. Well, once you've found a little bit of those wiggles, I'm going to ask you to settle in here, toes turn out. We're going to do just a little bit of that flinging arm twist. Those arms can go wide, they can stay close by. If we're able, you can't see my back right now, but maybe we can get the back of the hand to tap the low back, a little kidney adrenal tap. A little tune up for that energetic system. When we're twisting, it's really this idea of starting to bring some balance into the spine in the energetic system, the chakra system that runs along that spine. It's also a great way if you've woken up with a stiff back. Maybe physically we're feeling tight through that area. This twisting and flinging of arms, it's a really nice way to begin to warm up the body. We'll do just a couple more of those. And then we're going to come through and settle, bringing feet just about 4 fingers between those big toes. Reaching arms out, palms face up. We're going to stop traffic. So we're just going to pull fingertips towards those shoulders. And then we'll round fists as if we could round right into our wrists. So we're going to stop traffic and round. Couple of more of those. Noticing as we're focusing on this upper body, and man, this is classic for me too. I lock everything out then in my lower body. Have you locked out knees and low back? And can you let them release? Once you're done with that last fist curl, palms face up, we're gonna inhale, let fingertips rise up, a gentle twist to the right. My arms are gonna drop into a T, inhaling up, and a gentle twist to the left. Exhaling as we twist. We might even give our gaze to the back hand if the neck allows. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist. Inhale and exhale. One last time. Inhale and exhale. Come back through center as you exhale, if you'll bring those hands to heart. Pausing here with some shoulder rolls. If you can add in here, I'm pressing my palms with a little more vigor rather than just letting them sort of hang out. I'm circling shoulders, and then I'm going to reverse my circle. So a little press to get stuff warmed up here. Shoulders releasing a little bit more, especially if we woke up with stiff neck or stiff shoulders. And then hands come on down to rest by your side. A gentle lateral stretch. So I'm going to keep my hands low, and I'm just going to start to rock side to side. Now, I might let my head look down at the floor. That might feel better for my neck. A few of you might start to roll from shoulder to ceiling, depending on what kind of work you've done through the neck to prepare it in your yoga practice. Just a couple more lateral stretches. This last one we'll do over to the left side, and we'll come on back through center. Bringing hands to heart, we're going to move through our sun salutation. I'm going to turn sideways. When you're ready, we take that inhale, fingertips reach up. As we exhale, soft bent knees, arms reach wide. We press into shins to halfway lift, or find that flat back. As you exhale, release head to try to look through those legs, arms reach wide. Inhale, we rise back up. Exhale, hands come to heart. Let's do 3 more of those. Inhale, fingertips reach. Exhale, soft bent knees, arms reach wide. Inhale, press into shins, halfway lift. Exhale, release back down, arms reach wide as we inhale, rise back up. Exhale, hands come to heart, moving with breath. Inhale, reach. Exhale, soft bent knees, arms reach wide. Inhale, press to halfway lift. Exhale to release back down, arms reach wide as we inhale, rise back up. Exhale, hands come to heart. Last time, inhale, fingertips reach. Exhale, soft bent knees, arms reach wide. We'll press hands into shins, halfway lift. As we exhale, releasing down, we're going to plant hands. We're going to step, hop, walk, or jump back into a quick plank. And then we draw knees down. We're going to do a little bit of shifting here. So extending your hands just beyond those shoulders. We're going to press back a little weight towards the heels, and then we'll draw forward like we're going to drop down into a modified push-up, but we're not. We're going to press back and draw forward, focusing if we can on the stretch through the arms and the warm up through the shoulders. Press back and draw forward. One last time. Press back, draw forward. We're going to slide those palms back underneath our shoulders. Knees come back underneath, so we're in tabletop. You can also be on fist to protect those wrists. Our cat-cow. So when you're ready, exhale, drawing belly in, pressing the mat away from you as you drop head. Inhale, let those tail feathers shine. We look up towards the mat or towards the front of your room. We're going to exhale, press to round. Inhale, belly drops, looking up. Let's do 2 more of those with your own breath. When you finish off that second one, coming back to this nice neutral spine, extending your right leg, toes tuck under, and we're just going to shift through that ankle. And again, we can be on fists. You can also go down to elbows here. So if you're really feeling it intensely in shoulders or wrists, coming down to elbows, stretching through that heel, warming up the calf, the ankle, also stimulating some of those meridians that begin in the toes. When you're ready, bringing that knee back, we'll just switch legs. Other leg extends and we start to roll through. Stretching the arch of the foot, stretching the calf, opening up the Achilles. Good stuff if you've got really tight calves. One more time. And then I'm going to ask you to bring knees back in, elbows come down, clasping hands, dropping head. We can stay here. We can shift weight back so it's a little bit more of an opener, or we can invigorate by tucking toes and sending buns straight up towards the ceiling. So we're in this upside down letter V. Fully breathing here. So noticing if you're holding breath. Soft knees for those of us with tight hamstrings. More important to have this long torso versus straight legs. So softening knees can help get that long torso and alleviate a little bit of that tension and tug that happens on that low back. One more breath here. And then we're going to come on down to knees. We come back up to hands. Send that right foot forward. Right foot comes between the hands. Once it's forward, I'm going to ask you to stair step up here. So bringing hands to thigh. Remember, if balance is tricky, and this can be a balance right here, we walk the foot out towards the outside of the mat. If you're able and knees allow, we're going to bend in and out. If not, tuck that tailbone. Tucking tailbone will give you some of that similar stretch too. Carefully bending in and out of knee. And then we'll go ahead, we'll pause when the knee is right above the ankle, lifting the opposite hand. So that left hand comes up and we start to reach over towards the right side, which may be a little bit tricky to see. I'm doing that lateral stretch. So I'm reaching over to the right side, opening up front hip, opening up shoulder, releasing some of that side body. Coming back through center, we'll do 2 more of those. Exhaling over. Inhaling back through center, last time. Exhale over. Inhale back through center, planting the hand. We're going to tuck our back toes and lift the knee. It is an option not to do that. So we can stay put with the knee on. If you've gotten here, you're twisting and invigorating maybe by reaching the arm. So options are, you could still have hand on knee, you could have hand on mat, but other hand resting, lifting knee, or lifting and lengthening arm. Lots of options here. Breathing fully, noticing as always what's present for you in this moment. If the knee is up, go ahead, bring it down, bring the hand down. We're gonna shift back into our tabletop. We're gonna give our tail a little wag. And left foot now comes forward. As always, it gets there how it gets there. So maybe it can come through the center, maybe it needs to go wide. We'll stair step up, find our balance by maybe walking that foot out, bending in and out of that knee. As long as the knees agree. Knees don't agree, staying put, tucking tailbone. And then we're gonna land with knee right above ankle. We'll reach the right arm up and we're gonna stretch the side body by reaching over this time to that left side. We inhale back through center. Exhaling over, inhaling through center. Exhaling, 3. Inhale, we'll do 2 more of these. Exhaling over. Inhale, last time. Exhaling over. Inhale, we'll take that right hand, planting it. If you want, we lift the back knee. We're gonna rotate and perhaps reach the arm. Any level here is okay. We're noticing what's present for us today and we're adjusting to it. So if all this feels like too much, take it down just one notch. Your breath is always a good indicator. If you're feeling out of breath, it's probably a little too much today. One more breath here. We'll drop to knee. We're going to bring the hand to frame the foot. We get to press back into child's pose. So child's pose is tricky for you. Come down to elbows, round the back, rest here. If you're able, sending those hips back towards the heels, respecting what the back and the knees are talking to you about today. Sometimes child's pose is a great restorative pose. Sometimes it's the most challenging pose for other reasons in the body. Wherever you've chosen to be, let's give ourselves 3 more breaths, knowing that at any point during our practice, we can come to child's pose, to relax, to restore, to find our breath, just to simply take a break. We'll rise up to tabletop. A few of you may be down on elbows. We're going to go into our first down dog. We're going to tuck toes. You can be on elbows as well. You can stay in child's pose. So finding the space that works, again, for you today. If you're in down dog, perhaps soften knees, see if you can get your heart a little closer to your thighs. We're pressing weight through the thumb and index finger and rolling shoulders away from your ears. 2 more breaths here. When you're ready, we're going to start to walk those feet towards the hands. We'll find that forward fold. On your next inhale, arms reach wide as we inhale, rise up. And exhale, hands come to heart. We're going to take one big step back with our right foot. Right foot steps back. And we're going to find that back angle. Maybe it's parallel to the back of your mat. Maybe it's hanging out in an angle. Bending into your front knee, bringing your hands to hips. So as we bend in, we've got hips aiming straight forward. Taking hands to clasp behind the back. Maybe we have fingers, maybe we have wrists, maybe we have elbows. Now this encourages kind of this arching. And if arching is okay for you, you can find that nice in between where you've got your abs engaged and you're arching. For many of us, that's an overarch. So you might think about tucking tailbone, squeezing shoulder blades, but keeping your belly engaged. First part of our warrior series here, these standing poses, relying on the strength of those legs we talked about at the beginning of class. If you would like to add in warrior 1 arms, arms reach up, shoulders melt away from your ears. It's also possible, it feels better, to have hands behind back. Let's do 3 more breaths here. These longer holds meant to really work those large muscles to eventually get them to relax. Some energetic components to these poses as well. We're going to shift into our warrior 2. Careful that front knee, get sneaky. Think about this back side of your knee pressing against the imaginary wall. We shift hips to open. So rather than forward, we're now got them parallel to the side, long side of our mat. We're reaching fingertips, looking over fingertips, and noticing here, how did you land? Is it helpful to wiggle forward and back to find that middle space for you? Often all this energy going forward has us leaning a little more forward. Let's do 4 more breaths here. Strong pose, noticing the entire sole of your foot. Perhaps it's helpful to think about if your heels could draw towards each other to strengthen the legs, to lengthen through the spine. And this is going to be a little bit tricky. We're going to take hands to hips, toes turn in the same direction. And then we're going to shift away, which means you're probably turning away from your screen. So we're going to shift to the back of your mat. So now my right toes are turning to the back of the mat. My left foot plants. I begin to shift my hips and bent into my front knee. Pausing here, grabbing hold of hands behind back, paying attention to that belly. It's engaged. We're trying to draw that belly to spine. Holding here, big deep inhales and exhales. Two more breaths. If it makes sense to add in warrior arms for 4 more breaths, allowing those arms to come up, it might make more sense to have hands behind the back. When you're ready, careful of the front knee, opening hips to the long side of your mat, shifting arms, one's forward, one's back, gaze over the front fingertips, warrior 2. Maybe give yourself a little wiggle to find front and back and center for you. Noticing soles of the feet. Could you pull your heels a little closer to each other with effort, not necessarily movement, to change what's happening in the spine? Last 2 breaths here. Let hands slide to the hips, turning toes in the same direction. We're going to be doing that nice forward fold, a nice maybe relative, I should say. If you need to protect those knees, toes turn out just a little bit. If you're able and it doesn't bug your knees or ankles, outside edges of your feet parallel to the front and back of your mat. When you're ready, rounding forward. Many of us might simply stop and pause with elbows right above knees. That's a great spot to get a forward fold without overdoing it in hamstrings or low back. Some of us might slide hands down towards the ankles. A few of us might make hands to the floor or aiming towards the back of your mat, noticing the ball of your foot and the heel and the weight distribution. Can you bring balance to the front and the back? Maybe give the head a little shake no, a little nod yes. Fully, fully breathing here, me included, in this forward fold, noticing sensation. One more breath. And then we'll slowly rise up. And exhale protects the back, and inhale is an energetic component, so using which one makes sense for you. Sliding hands back behind the back, we open the heart center by squeezing elbows and squeezing shoulders towards each other. When you're ready, heel toe your feet in just a little bit closer. So I've got about 2 feet between my heels. I'm gonna bring my hands to my hips and I come into a soft squat. Now my squat, because of knee stuff, is not that low. Yours might be a lot lower. Finding a place where you can maintain here. If you want to add arms, we're going to go into our cactus arms. Fingertips, giving the air a big high five, squeezing shoulder blades together, still engaging core, and holding this space. When you're ready, straightening arms, straightening legs, hands come back to hips. Go ahead and turn your left toes to the front of your mat. Take one big step forward if you can. Give everything a little bit of a bounce and a wiggle. We're gonna do just a couple of flows here. We'll have lots of options if we don't wanna flow. Hands come to heart. We're gonna inhale, reach fingertips. Exhale, soft bent knees. Diving forward, we're gonna plant the hands. We'll step, hop, walk, or jump back into your plank. Now remember, you might go right into down dog. You might come right into child's pose. If you're going to the floor in full chaturanga, shift to those tippy toes. Otherwise, if you're like me, protecting neck and shoulders, I'm gonna lower my knees and then lower to the earth. Inhale, either low cobra or up dog. Exhale, press back, either child's pose or down dog. Pausing here for 5 breaths. You can be down on elbows. You can be on knees and elbows. Reaching, shifting back and forth as we did at the beginning of class. Softening knees if you're in down dog to really take the responsibility out of those thighs and the backs of the thighs and bring it to the torso. One last breath here. We're going to go ahead, shift back into your plank. And this one's going to be tricky. So go ahead and bring your left knee down. Tricky for me to instruct through is what I really mean. So my left knee has come down. I'm going to shift my left foot to the back edge of my mat. I'm going to keep my right leg very long and then lengthen my arm maybe up towards the ceiling. It might hang out behind my back. It might even reach all the way overhead. Pausing here for that full side body opening. Finding the space that works for arm, finding space that works for leg. Letting that arm swing down, it comes to the floor. I'm going to end up turning away from you. We're going to press back into our plank again. This time, it's the right knee that comes down. We're going to shift that foot back as we open up. An opportunity here to bring hand behind back, to reach at any level here that makes sense for you. Breathing into that side body. One more breath. And then we bring hand back down. We go back into our plank and we move back through our flow. Some of us are going to go down full chaturanga. Some of us are going to lower those knees. Inhale into low cobra or up dog. This time we press back into our version of child's pose. Reminding ourselves we can be on elbows and knees. For those of you in child's pose, pick a side, doesn't matter which side. We're going to walk the hands off the mat on that side. If you're on elbows, you walk your elbows over and you give a little shift of that hip to the opposite direction. One more time, opening up that side body, breathing fully here. There's always lots of ways to get where we're going in yoga. If what we just did on our knees was not so appealing, this can be maybe a more restful and perhaps a pose that brings more ease into the body. We'll come back through center, walking on over to the opposite side. Full breaths here, deep inhales and exhales. We'll come back through center, everybody rising into tabletop, pressing back into a version of down dog. Maybe we stay on knees to press back. Perhaps we're on elbows and knees. Two more full deep inhales and exhales, finding that long torso, strong arms, strong legs. On your next exhale, walk those feet towards the hands. We're going to slowly rise up on an inhale with the arms reaching wide. We inhale to rise up. Exhale, hands come to heart. We're getting ready to balance. So if you need something to hang on to, a wall, the top of your sofa, a chair, or you need to step off your squishy mat, here's your chance to do it. Giving ourselves 2 fingers only between our big toes. That makes our balance a little bit more challenging. Hands for me are very centered, or I feel centered and balanced with them towards my heart. You might feel a little better with arms reaching out and feel more centered that way. Let's shift weight to your right foot. We're going to take our tree pose, but of course there are lots of options for balance. So if you've been working on a different kind of balance, now is your chance to shine. For those of us doing tree, we either leave toes on, we might pull toes off, we might bring foot to shin. There may be a few of us who bring foot to thigh. For now, leaving hands centered, either reaching out or towards your heart, and just noticing balance. So no matter where toes, foot is, you might be able to stay nice and stable. Not me today. Working towards a longer hold without a lot of extra happening here with arms or with gaze. One last breath. We'll take a deep inhale. When you're ready, letting that foot come back down. If it isn't already down, give yourself a little bit of wiggle, a little bit of bounce. Those 2 fingers between the toes, finding the weight equal on both sides of the feet, or both feet, I should say, and then shifting weight to the left, deciding where you would like to go for a little longer hold today. Gaze is steady, our drishti, steady. Steady and softened. Often we get very intensely competitive with ourselves and our balance, and our gaze gets really intense, which gives our energy away. This idea of a soft, unfocused gaze that is steady and balanced. When you're ready, foot comes down. Give it all a little wiggle and a little shake. We'll add into this side if you like. So we may decide we want to stay stable, not change anything and hold for longer. We may decide we want to change some things like arm swaying or reaching or even gaze lowering in order to challenge that balance. So shifting to the right side, deciding where you want to be here, finding the space that makes sense for you, holding for longer in that very stable balance, or finding ways that are going to challenge your balance, that are going to throw you out of balance. If wherever you are, nothing is taking you out of balance, change your gaze. Maybe you look up with the eyes, maybe you close the eyes. One of those is usually the one that will bring you out of balance. Coming back, centering hands, weight is equal on each foot. Shifting weight now to the left, finding the space that you want to be. Either holding steady here or finding ways to challenge balance. Ultimately, if you're ready to come out of balance, change your gaze. That'll be the thing that has you coming out of balance. We'll bring our feet back to the floor. Let yourself come to your mountain pose. So picking the distance between the feet that you would like, picking the position of your hands that you would like, and taking a moment here to build from the bottom up. So finding the entire surface of your foot, finding those softened knees, that released low back and buns, shoulders melting away from the ears, hand position comfortable to you, head and neck resting on this strong, strong torso and leg structure. Tuning back into sensation and just taking a moment here while we're standing in mountain to notice how it feels compared to when we began our class. Similarities or differences, if they're in your awareness. One more deep inhale and exhale. We're going to bring ourselves into a seated position on our mat that feels comfortable to you. We're going to do a little bit with the upper body, and then we'll switch to low back and hip structure. So finding a comfortable seat where you can have a fairly long, tall spine. We're going to take our right hand and either fingertips touch, palm touches, leaning yourself into that. But we're really paying attention to this opposite side. We want to make sure, if we can, that that hip and that bun structure stays on. So as I lean over or find my arm in a way that helps me feel a little lateral stretch, I'm going to take my left hand to slide behind my back and dropping my right ear to my right shoulder. So stretching this line from maybe the right behind the ear, down the neck, top ridge of shoulder. For many of us, we also experience a little bit of this in that shoulder blade area. Offering a big stretch for those neck muscles that work so hard all day long. We're going to come back through center, give your head a little shake, and switch sides. The left hand comes down in a way that you can keep this opposite hip grounded. We'll slide the right hand behind the back and dropping left ear to left shoulder. Now, if neck is deciding this is not a good idea, a nice way to release that neck is to simply look down. So finding that stretch if possible, and if not today, letting the head or the gaze look down at the floor. We'll rise back up, give those shoulders a little rounding. We're going to move through hips and legs. So I recognize that sitting crisscross is not always fun for lots of folks. I'm going to have some options here. I also recognize, knowing a few of you in class, that you're going to get actually a deeper stretch by coming into shoelace. So here are some options. If you're looking for a deeper stretch and your hips are made in such a way that it allows you to stack your knees, come into stacked knees. Some of us are going to be in crisscross with your right shin on the outside. Some of us are actually going to have legs a little further extended, knees bent, and you're going to be experiencing a forward fold and a back stretch rather than a lot of bun opener. So it might be possible that you're here. If you have blocks, you might be on blocks. Some of us, and I'll stay here at this medium sort of level where we've got our right shin on the outside. A few of you might have your right knee on top of left. We're going to twist towards, we're going to twist towards the left side. So we're going to twist over to the left side and we're going to walk ourselves over. Now, if you're in shoelace, rather than twist to the side, let yourself fold forward. You're going to get a similar stretch just without having to twist. So finding this space where you can lean over, reminding ourselves sometimes our lean looks really upright depending on how our hips are built. Sometimes our lean looks pretty far down. Breathing fully here. Two more breaths, finding this low back stretch. Maybe a little bit of glute for those of you in shoelace, probably more IT band and glute. We'll rise up and we're going to switch it out. So now our left shin comes to the outside, our left knee is on top. For those of you legs extended and slightly bent, you're going to stay put. You'll just do the same shift that we do. We're going to twist now over towards that right side and lean forward. Knowing that our lean might be more upright. For those of you in shoelace, you're folding straight forward towards those stacked knees. Big, deep inhale. Sensation of this pose might travel. We may be feeling it in low back. We might be feeling it in side body, inner thigh. For some of us along the outside of that thigh, maybe even in the bun cheek. It's possible there's not a lot of sensation that is present for us, and that's okay too. We're going to rise back up If everyone will send their legs nice and long and give them a little wiggle, feel free to lean back if that gives you more space and a little bit of bouncing knees. We're going to come into a twist. So I'm going to ask you to bend in, pardon me, your right knee. And for some of us, we stay put there. For some of us, we might end up hopping it over. For a few of us, that bottom leg is going to bend in. Once you're there, take your opposite hand, left hand, to grab hold of knee or the elbow. If you're going into a deeper twist, your spine allows for that, bringing the elbow to the outside. You're going to see me today in a palm on the knee twist, twisting to look over to the left. If all of this is quite uncomfortable today in the hip structure, it's okay to rest on your back and drop knees to one side. In this case, you would drop knees over to the left side. When you're ready, come on back through center. Go ahead and kick that leg out. Give it a nice little wiggle. Now we're gonna switch sides. Left knee bends, it might stay there. It might hop over. This bottom leg might slide under. We're gonna take our right palm, elbow, or outside of the elbow to find our twist. Gently twisting with the exhale. One more breath here. And then we'll come on back through center, letting that leg drop out, give it a nice little wiggle. We're gonna come to rest on our back. So I'm gonna invite you carefully to make your way to rest on your back. A little bit more hip opener, a little bit of relaxation. And then we will have gotten this checked off for the day. So starting with the knees bent and soft feet near your buns, we're going to reach arms overhead. Now, overhead reach is tough. Let your arms come into a bent elbow position. Maybe that doesn't work either for what you're working with shoulders, so you can bring your hands to your rib cage. So pausing here, wherever we are reaching, just to breathe. We're creating a little space in that rib cage area. And then when you're ready, letting hands come down by your side, we're going to go into bridge. Now, if you're a person who does shoulder stand or plow, this would be your time to do both of those, one of those. For those of us working with neck and shoulder stuff, this is a nice, safe way to get an inversion going here. So we're going to lift hip bones up towards the ceiling. And letting shoulder blades maybe walk towards each other. If your arms and shoulders allow, we might clasp hands underneath. So pressing through your big toe or your big toe mound. Breathing here. Finding a little extra space, and maybe you can even see the belly rising and falling in our bridge pose. One more breath, no matter where you're at. If you're in bridge, give yourself a bear hug, slowly melt down. If you're in plow or shoulder stand, coming out safely. We're gonna extend our left leg. So left leg comes along the mat. We'll draw right knee into chest. Lots of options here. Stay put with right knee into chest. You might like to do half a happy baby. You may want a little hip opener. So you might actually draw that knee across the body a little bit to get that hip opener. So knee into chest, happy baby, or knee drawing slightly across. So not necessarily a deep twist, just a hip opener. Deep inhales and exhales here. We're going to go ahead and release that leg nice and long to join the other. And we switch sides. So drawing that opposite knee in, deciding where you want to be, knee in, half a happy baby, or a slight draw across the body to open up the hip structure. Letting the knee come back in, stretching that leg long. One more long body stretch, arms overhead, legs lengthening, breathing fully here. And then drawing those knees into chest, just for a little rock side to side. We're getting ready for a reclining twist. We're gonna let our knees drop over to the right side. And today you're welcome to do stacked knees. If you are doing twisted roots, your left thigh comes on top first. You might go back to that left knee in, but this time draw it all the way across the body. So knees either stacked, twisted roots with left thigh on top, or drawing knee in and drawing it over. If you'd like to add a double twist to your spine, lift your head, look over to that left side, and then let the head rest. Some deep breaths here, maybe in through the nose and out through the mouth. When you're ready, coming back through center, we got some big wind coming up here. You may hear that in the background. Coming out, give it all a nice little wiggle here. We're gonna go to the other side. Your sides do not have to match. So what you chose on one side does not have to be the same on this side. Stack knees. If you are doing twisted roots, it might be, it'll be that right thigh that comes on top, or the right knee drawing in to draw over. Deep inhales and exhales here. If you'd like to add that double twist, we might lift the head, look over the right shoulder, and letting the head then rest. When you're ready, returning knees back towards center. Give yourself a little rock side to side, maybe knees into the chest. We're going to be getting ready here for final relaxation. I'm going to come on up into a seated position, but the invitation to you all is to find a space for yourself that feels like it's going to bring the most ease into the body. And that can be any space. It does not have to look like a yoga shape. You might be resting on your side or your belly. You might have legs up a wall. You might be resting in Shavasana, where your legs are extended and they're the width of the mat, where your hands or palms facing up and traveling about 6 to 8 inches away from the body. Finding this space for yourself where you can rest in ease. And often we think, oh, I have to pick a spot that I'm going to stay in for the rest of the time. Know that if you're getting a message from your body that says, I need to change something. Allow yourself to change, especially if it's going to help you be more comfortable, to be resting in more ease. Settling into that space of ease with a nice deep inhale and a longer exhale. If that felt helpful, maybe taking a few more of those deep inhales and longer exhales. Then we invite the body to breathe itself. The breath is traveling where it chooses, traveling with ease. We invite the mind to quiet. Often that invitation looks more like longer pauses between thoughts. And for these last few minutes of class, we invite ourselves to let go of all of the doing of the morning and maybe of your day already. And we invite ourselves to just simply be, to be resting here in a sense of ease and maybe even a sense of well-being.
Beginning to bring awareness back to the sound of my voice, back to the space that you're resting in. Inviting a deeper inhale and a longer exhale. Beginning to reawaken the body, maybe wiggling fingers and toes, circling wrists and ankles. It might feel good to stretch arms overhead. It might feel good to draw knees into chest. And in your own way and your own time, we're going to begin to bring ourselves into a seated position that feels comfortable to you. And as you're finding that comfortable seat, we're going to do just a little bit of pranayama, a little bit of breath work here at the end of class. And today we're going to do this slightly longer exhale. So while we're seated here and we're hopefully seated with some ease, taking these first 3 or 4 breaths to notice the number of beats it takes you to breathe in. There's no right or wrong answer. And in fact, it'll probably vary a little bit. But breathing in and noticing the number of beats it takes you to breathe in. Once you have that average number, I'm going to ask you to see if you can extend your exhale by 2 beats. Now, normally we have the choice from 1 to 2 beats. See if 2 beats is accessible for you today. And we'll know pretty quickly. It'll feel like you're out of breath or you can't catch your breath if it isn't accessible to you today. And that's okay too. We let that breath pattern go. But today, drawing in that average number of beats it takes you to breathe in and seeing if we can exhale and extend the exhale by 2 beats, letting go of the breath pattern if you feel like your breath is labored or you're out of breath. Let's try that for just about, I'm going to say about 6 breaths here. Finishing off that last breath, pausing for a moment to notice how you're feeling. How are you feeling in the physical body? Maybe how are you feeling in the emotional and mental bodies? And if this gesture feels okay to you, we'll place the palms together, resting thumbs right in front of your heart. May all be well. May all have peace. And may we all be filled with compassion and loving kindness. The light in me is honored and grateful for the light in each of you. I bow to you. Namaste.